Jasmine Crockett never saw the takedown ahead.
Who are currently in those seats?
One of them is Lloyd Doggett, and the other one is Wesley Hunt.
So the Democrat seat elected a white man.
Yes.
And the Republican seat elected a black man.
Yes.
During a Texas House hearing, Crockett jumped between tangents, justifying her opposition to the state's new congressional map, until Katrina Pierson stepped in and dismantled her narrative within minutes.
So I just don't think it's fair to just assume that the Anglo districts are going to lead to more Anglo representation.
Again,
those were your words, so I'm just...
And today, we're covering it all. By the way, we just launched this channel, and we're going to focus solely on debates. So if you believe truth isn't partisan, hit that subscribe button, and let's jump right into it.
My question is for Congresswoman Crockett. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your thoughts on the map. I hear you, I understand. But you did mention something in your testimony that I think is worth drawing out a little bit on. You mentioned previously the two Anglo seats from before.
Yes.
Who are currently in those seats?
One of them is Lloyd Doggett, and the other one is Wesley Hunt.
And does that mean one is a Democrat seat and one is a Republican seat?
Correct.
Okay. So the Democrat seat elected a white man.
Yes.
And the Republican seat elected a black man.
Yes.
Okay. And then so today you're concerned about the new Anglo seats, and the assumption that you're making is that it's going to lead to more Anglo representation.
It is. Okay. Because so to be clear, because I may have not been clear, these seats are not about who gets elected. They're about who gets to choose who is elected.
That's simply not true, as it only tells half the story, especially in recent times. So for a bit of context, this hearing was held to examine the new Texas congressional map, and Jasmine was invited as a witness. The reason her argument falls apart is simple. You see, majority-minority districts were created to ensure that minority populations have a significant opportunity to elect candidates of their choice through the 1965 Voting Rights Act. That was the intent. In practice, Democrats heavily relied on identity politics, using race as their primary organizing tool to push preferred candidates, which in essence defeats the spirit of the law. I'll expand on this in a moment, but first, let's hear how Jasmine tried to justify her position.
My district, while it is an African American opportunity seat, it is an opportunity for African Americans to choose their representation. But they don't have to elect a black person. We have a similar seat in Memphis, Tennessee, that historically was always represented by the Ford family. Harold Ford Sr. and Harold Ford Jr. had it, but now it is a white man that is representing that black seat. So it's not about the faces of the seats. It's about who gets to choose who's in the seat. And that doesn't mean that they're going to choose their own race. As you see, two Anglo majority seats, one went for a white candidate, one went for a black candidate. It's not about us as candidates. It's about the people that get to do the choosing.
Well, I would argue that based on the testimony that we've heard over the last week or so, it's both. We're hearing racism all over the place. We're hearing, people want to choose people who look like them, which apparently has been happening. And I just wanted to make it clear that, something that has not been said yet is that there are minority Republicans. I mean, there is a black and Hispanic Republican on the dais.
Exactly. And for all their talk about gerrymandering, Democrats ignore the fact that majority-minority districts function the same way. And while the logic behind it is noble, in practice, it has some bad side effects. One researcher looked into Alabama's case and found that it had a significant negative impact on competition within these districts compared to the majority white districts. In other words, all this does is create safe seats just like the one Crockett represents. And while she might be active, others become lazy since there's no real incentive to compete, improve, or deliver any results. And the reason I said Democrats have co-opted this is based on pure numbers. According to Ballotpedia, in 2024, there were 148 majority-minority districts in the House of Representatives, of which Democrats represented 122 and Republicans represented 26. Yet, despite all of this, Jasmine kept repeating the same talking point, as if saying it again would somehow make it true.
So I just don't think it's fair to just assume that the Anglo districts are going to lead to more Anglo representation.
Those
were your words, so I'm just...
Again, I apologize if that is how it was interpreted, but my clarification is that when we're talking about the law and the Voting Rights Act, it's never been based upon who it is that gets elected. It's based upon who it is that gets to choose who is elected. And unfortunately, adding 2 more Anglo seats in a state that added, if we're going on the census that came out in 2021, there were only 180,000 new Anglos to this state. So the idea that we would take the bodies of Black, brown, and Asian, 95% of what allowed this state to garner 2 new seats, and basically use their bodies for the benefit of making sure that a shrinking majority continue to hold on to power is wild.
This goes to show Democrats are perfectly fine with gerrymandering, and their stance shifts based on what helps them in the moment. In one instance, they defend partisan maps, like what we saw in California with Prop 50, and in others, they'd be fine with race-based maps, just like what Jasmine is arguing here. 2 federal judges echoed arguments similar to Crockett's when they ruled against Texas's new map. Thankfully, that didn't last, as the Supreme Court stepped in and stayed their ruling, saying the lower court improperly inserted itself into an active primary campaign, causing much confusion and upsetting the delicate federal-state balance in elections. But it got worse, as Jasmine went on even more tangents, trying to justify her position. And that's when Katrina Pierson delivered one final line, completely dismantling her narrative.
Well, again, when you start shifting people around, they found historically, I want to say it was around the 2010 redistricting, that what Texas did is they decided to add basically low propensity Latinos in one of the districts, so that again, that district would not be Latinos being able to elect their representation, because they took people that they knew had a low propensity to show up.
And so on that note, with these new lines, political performance was taken in consideration.
That is what we've heard from the bill author, yes.
And in previous hearings, I mentioned specifically that in the state of Texas, President Trump did win a majority of the Hispanic voters in the state. And just to broaden that even further, I mean, those are the numbers. President Trump did win the majority of the Hispanic votes in the state. In fact, he flipped, I believe it was 10 counties in the state. So don't you think that is reflective of this map, this proposed map, that the minorities who are here with the new majority minority districts that have been created, it is reflective?
She's absolutely right. If we flip the argument and look at deep blue states, where voting trends have shifted right in recent elections, yet in many of them, Republican voters barely secure any representation in Congress. In fact, California passed Prop 50, ensuring even more underrepresentation for conservatives. The bottom line is, when outcomes stay fixed, no matter how voters move, representation stops reflecting reality. That should be exactly what we focus on next. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on the story. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, keep thinking.